There's some people who still want to play football in their 40s. There's some people who still want to become the next Wizkid and they're already older than Wizkid. I think every single Nigerian can make a crazy move. People told me that, being American, having an accent. Nigeria was very hard. So
right.
I think everyone has an edge. You have to find your edge and use it. There's no work in the giant of Africa.
If your life was a book, what would the last 2 lines be?
Thank God we made it.
Ooh. In 2018, I was bored. It was the most boring part of my life. I didn't know what to do in my life, and I am not so much of a TV person. But my sister loves Big Brother Naija, and I started watching that with her. And so in 2018, I met someone I really love on screen, the Anto Lecky. She was fluent. She had this very cool aura. Felt like she wasn't trying to do too much in the game, even though knowing that it's a game. Fast forward to 2026, I have one of the most beautiful, intellectually sound women that I really love and respect, the Anto Lecky, here on my show today. More than this is a podcast that I really hope that everyone enjoy. This feels so surreal for me. Welcome to the Mimi Okana podcast.
Thank you so much. It's always strange when people are like hyping me. I'm like, me? like this? Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's very exciting because I rarely get excited about things, and that is because not so many things excite me. But for you, and maybe that's because I've seen and watched very sternly your journey from the Big Brother house to the office, which is one of the most exciting parts that I want us to talk about. But first of all, how do you feel?
I mean, I feel great. You know, we give all thanks to God. You know, alhamdulillah, we've done well.
Yeah.
I'm a little, people might know, maybe they do know, I don't know, I'm a little bit proud. When I went on Big Brother, I said some things.
Yeah,
and I own it that everything I say I'm going to do, I do.
Yeah, you did.
And if I don't do it, I tell you I'm not going to do it. So I went on that show and I told people that I wanted to be a champion for women's rights, for good governance. I wanted to enter politics. I wanted to be in government. And today, here we are.
Yes, you do. I remember you saying that. You've always held, women's issue in very high esteem. At least I've seen that. One of the things you've said in almost all the interviews that you've done, because I watch every one of them, is you said when you come out of the house, people tend to not always take you seriously.
Sure.
You've always said that. But you are the SSA to the governor of Edo State on tourism and creative economy. That is no small feat at all. Now, how did you go from being this Big Brother Niger housemate? You come out, you do great, and you say, people don't take us seriously because. And now you are in this office, and you are not just here, you are doing so much great work. Talk to us about the transition process and how you were able to, move from here to this point.
Sure. I was very adamant about what I wanted to do, and I was very conscious about what people perceive about Big Brother housemates. We have to remember that Big Brother truly is just a TV show. It's just a competition. That's what it is. Fortunately or unfortunately, we're in a system where people now put a lot of pressure on housemates once they come out of the house to be whatever idea they have of housemates in their head. Yeah. There's no rule book that says housemates have to come out and become entertainers, do all these magical things. You can go back to whatever you were doing before you got into the house, right? So I tried not to allow lots of the pressures of the world, of the Big Brother, expectations to bear me down. I always knew that I did want to do entertainment, but I wanted to use that as a means to build an audience, build a platform that when it's time to talk about social causes, I already have an audience that's interested in the things that I'm talking about. Sure. So that's kind of what I did. I made sure that when I got out of the house, I niched down. Yes, I did acting, event host, television host, and influencing, but in the long run, everyone knew that everything I was doing was geared towards talking about social causes, women's rights, health, mental health and physical health, good governance, environmental care, all those type of things. I made sure that at every opportunity that I got, I kind of talked about those causes. So people knew that if you needed a go-to speaker or a go-to event host for these kinds of topics, I'm someone they can call on.
Right.
So of course, the more I got my experience, I was able to represent Nigeria around the world in different kind of events. I just kept pushing it. Then when political season came on, I joined the political season and I ran the race with them, So here we are. So that's kind of what it is. I was able to, fortunately convinced His Excellency Senator Monde Okpebholo to add me to his administration. And here we are today.
All right. So you're going to tell me the hack you use, but we'll get to that. One of the things that you talk about in your states as the SSA to the governor that I really enjoy, even though I'm not from a those states, is the safe migration you talk about. I think that is so important because people talk really less about, the migration causes and everything in between that. So, but let's talk about this issue, your creative input in the state and in Nigeria, because you're not just doing it for Edo State, really. What stories on womanhood do you think is missing on the big screens?
Every story.
Okay.
I think we've probably only had maybe 1 or 2 films that were produced by NGOs that ended up maybe being cinema films or being Netflix kind of films that really talked about women's stories. Something about Nigeria, which I think we do it a lot. The country is hard. It's hard enough, we know that, but kind of we often tell very negative stories or very positive stories, but rarely just like everyday stories, right? I don't know, we're just doing something that we're extremists in nature. Nigerians are extremists. Everything is either super happy, everyone's getting married and having babies, or everyone's killing themselves. We never really see just the girl who goes to school, goes to work, is doing normal things. We don't have so many of we have them, but there's like a plastic effect. There's not really, what most people are experiencing. So that's why I say everything. There's so many, every woman has a different story. Even every woman that has a fibroid has a different story about her fibroids. Not everyone has the stomach that's protruding. Some people have, PCOS, they have hair. There's so many, the stories are endless that we can talk about Nigerian women or women at large. So every story can be told. Every story can be retold. There's so many ways. There's a lot of things. But I do think something that we can, maybe because of where I am, my position where I am now, I think we can do a little bit more in talking about women in politics. I know we had maybe like one film. I know there was a film with Kate. I can't think of the name. Was it the governor? I don't know. Kate Henshaw was in a film once when she was running for office or something like that. I think that was like the only film about women in politics. But I think we can do a lot more about that because we need more women in politics. Okay. We need more women talking about it. We have a little bit here and there. We've recently been hearing about the reserve seats bill, trying to get more women, a bracket of seats meant for women. But we need to talk more about women in politics. We need to convince, especially young girls, to enter politics. This is the only way. There's no, politics is no for me. Politics is for everyone. We have to be there. We especially need women, female voices. So I would say stories about women in
why do you think there's a gap between women and men in politics? What do you think created that gap?
The gap, of course, is our society, is our nature. We're stereotypically, let's just say, women are told to be docile, be at home, be caretakers, just be, mending the house, while men are supposed to be out there fighting the good fight.
Right.
And it's strange because when you look at the data, if you look at campaign season, it is the women who drive campaigns. I'm not talking about maybe...
Is it the women, though?
It is. Maybe not. No, I think everywhere, honestly. Women drive campaigns. When the men or whoever goes to campaign, the first stop is always the market.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
It is always the market.
Yeah.
They give them aprons, they give them bowls, they give them grants,
seasonings,
all these things. Everything starts with the market women. And those are the same people who come out. They're the ones that when people are running, going on rallies, they're the ones that sing the songs, dance the dances.
Yeah.
Women run politics in Nigeria. Women run grassroots politics. They're the ones that do the grunt work. However, women are not the ones who sit in the pretty offices. So we need to make that change, right? Women are known to be hard workers, the ones behind the scenes, making things happen, making the magic happen. You don't know how it's happening, but someone behind the scenes.
So it's like you're making the magic happen, but you're not the magic.
You're not the magic. You're not the one benefiting directly from the magic. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we see. So that's what I'm pushing for now. I'm trying to encourage more young women to get involved in politics. And a part of it is people see like, politics is dirty, is messy, is this and that. Who is not messy? Right? Like, they kind of make women feel like, it's too dirty.
Yeah, too dirty. Don't get in.
Nobody is dirtier than women. Yeah. So there's ways that you can play the game in your favor. That's what I think.
Yes.
Now, even though people feel like Nigerian politics is it's only a man's game, or they already know who they're voting for, those kind of things, whatever, put that aside.
Yeah.
Politics is still a very intellectual game. It doesn't seem like it, but people are spending hours of their nights crafting schemes.
And how to get ahead.
Yes, figuring out, just playing, putting chess pieces here and there, trying to put things together. Women obviously are master strategists.
Yes. So let's get back to the beginning, because I like beginnings, because they kind of, you don't know where they'll take you.
Sure.
Now let's go back to before you got into the house. I know that before you got into the house, you were working.
Yes,
because people thought that you just came from abroad and then you went to...
Strange. I said I was working. Yeah.
Yeah, you were working. So as someone, for me, I genuinely think that anyone can begin anything great from anywhere, regardless of how or where you grew up from. But then, the attitude that gets you to stand up and trust that you can do this is most times clouded by your environment, what you don't have, and the resources that you do not have. How were you able to move from a point of working at this office and saying, oh, I think I have what it takes to get to, the BBN. And even though you're a very great game player, you're not a desperate player, at least from what I've seen in the house. You're not like, oh my God, this is going. You know how to play the game, but you're not desperate for the game. What would you say inspired and impacted your courage to always get into the big rooms?
Sure. I would say it's a intentional effort. So someone just yesterday, funnily enough, asked me like, why don't things like get me down as much as they get other people down? And I said, no, I get down. He said, no, like the way I carry it is a bit different. And I'll say it's a conscious effort. I remember when I was growing up, maybe like high school or so, I used to complain about the way we all complain about everything. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Just complain. Everything is, oh, I broke a pencil. Oh my God, those things. But something happened one day and I just was like, yo, complaining gets you nowhere. You either put up or you shut up. You either find a solution or you wade through the problem. And I own that. Like everything about me, I hold on to that. So that is how I've like moved on through my life. People ask me, oh, how did you leave America to just come and live in Nigeria? I took the risk and I was ready for it. If I failed, I would have gone back. If I didn't fail or what, I don't know. But I was ready to take that risk and keep pushing through it. So everything has just been, I'm going to try my best to find a way through. That's just what it is. I'm always going to try and find a way through. If I'm not successful in it, I'll come and find another idea, another option. I'll just come up with something else. So that's kind of what it was. Big Brother was never my dream. Like some people dream. People message me every single year, I want to get in the Big Brother house. That was never
a dream for you.
It never. Why? No. Obviously, I was working. I was already living my dream, right? I was already living in sports. I was working in sports. From working in sports in America, I moved to Nigeria to still work in sports. So I was already living my dream. But dreams change. Dreams adapt. Things
I want to talk about that really because when you said Big Brother is not your dream, I was like, that's some people's dream. People die to get into the house.
It was not my dream.
We're talking about dreams changing, right? So because that is so important. I think that's the highlight of this conversation for me, really, because some people think that when you have a particular purpose, a particular thing, then that should decide the rest of your life. And I've seen you or heard you speak on the conversations that always goes around about you being friends with all of the Big Brother housemates because you people are and you always speak about, for the fact that we're in this place or we're doing this game doesn't mean that we're going to be friends to the ending. So I think what I would like you to speak on is, how do we decide when it's time to move from a dream or a purpose or a vision to the next one without feeling indebted to the previous one?
And you know what? You can be indebted to the previous one. There's nothing wrong with that. Like for me now, I'm currently, working in government as an SSA on tourism and creative economy, but I always knew that I still wanted to get back working in sports. That was always a dream of mine. So now that I'm in government, I was able to now find a way to now work for Bendel Insurance Football Club.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you can go back to dreams. There's nothing wrong with doing it backtrack.
You can go back to dreams.
You can go back to dreams. But I think it's a personal feeling. There's some people who still want to play football and they're 40, right? There's some people who still want to become the next Wizkid and they're already older than Wizkid. So it's okay to have those kind of dreams, but I think it's very important to, like we mentioned before, look at your environment. Literally look at what you're going through every single day. If you see that you're spending more money in the studio than you're spending on the food at home, there is a problem. And you have to be sensible and you have to go to the next step. Right. That's just it. Life is hard. It's not pretty. Life is not fun. It gets to the fun points, but the day to day the grind is tough.
The grind is tough.
So if you realize that something is not working and is now becoming a detriment rather than a joyous thing that's pushing you forward, then you probably need to take a step back, reevaluate, and maybe move on to something more realistic while you try and figure out ways to still, address those dreams of the past.
Yeah. What do you think drives you? Is it hunger or curiosity? Because you have a very stern perception to things. You're like, life is hard. There's no sugarcoating anything. So what do you think drives you? Is it curiosity or hunger?
No, it's not hunger. It's not really hunger. It's hunger to a bit, but I think it's more of the curiosity. I would say maybe it took me some time, but I think I'm very grounded in my religion. I'm a Muslim, and I think, anyone, whether you're religious or not, I think we all know there's an end.
Oh, yeah, we do.
There's an end, right? So we're going to get to the end somehow. Like, it's going to happen anyway.
Regardless.
Yes, and with the way life is set up, we don't know how it's going to happen. Some people, strangely, or I don't know, we don't question God, but some people were brought to this earth to just get to the end. There's not much for them to do.
Wow.
In the middle.
That's such a deep thing to say.
Yeah, well, it sucks, but we see it everywhere. We see it everywhere as we're driving here. We see people begging on the road. We see all these type of things. Not that it's impossible that this beggar is going to become the person, can become the next president. I don't know, nothing's impossible, but realistically, when you look at things, it's probably not likely, right? So for me, it's not necessarily the hunger. I think we're going to make it through every day. I have that feeling that we're going to make it through every day. No matter how the day goes, we're going to make it through every day. And whenever it's over, it's over. That's it. So for me, I'm more curious about what can I possibly do? Like
today.
Yeah, like what can happen? What's the possibilities? Let me try my luck, I'm here for a limited time. Let me just try. Let me just do anything and see how it goes. So it's not really hunger per se. I've been blessed enough to, I have the basics. For me at least, I have
just enough.
I have enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be able to make it. But I think I'm more just interested in seeing how far.
I really can't get past what you said about some people are born to this world to just stay and then see the end. Yeah, and so that made me realize that not really a realization. It makes me curious. Like, how do we know what really drives a person with dreams that doesn't drive a person begging by the street, right? What is the difference between the Anto Lecky and that man, at the side of the street begging? Is it that they are born to not conceive a vision or a thought or to make things work, or is it that they lost it somewhere?
No, I don't think people are born to be useless or whatever you might say, but I think part of it's exposure. Obviously, I come from a completely different background than the person that's begging on the road. Not that way I'm coming from, people didn't beg. Even and it's something can happen tomorrow, everything crash. I can be the next person there, but I do think, just like we said, environment shapes everyone.
It's true.
Environment is a big factor. Having access to things is very important. That goes back to my topic of people have to be involved in politics. The only way the country is going to get better, or the world is going to get better, is if we have better people making decisions. Look at we're in World War III right now. I don't think we talk about it, but we're in a world. The world is at war. So many countries are in shambles right now, right? And it's because people made selfish decisions or poor decisions. So these things are now affecting, one person's decision is affecting millions of people. So I think part of it is really just exposure, the access to some things. Not everyone is going to be able to have the same type of experience. Someone that lives in China is not going to have the same experience as someone that lives in Maiduguri, who lives in New Jersey, who lives in Mauritius. Your environment really does a lot. It shapes a lot. For example, we're here in Nigeria, and we see people who also have the rags to riches story. And we have some people who are already rich, and we have some people who remained in the rags. So it's just about something in their lives triggered them to see something else, to see something bigger and better, and they've tried to find a way to get there. So Are
you still friends with anyone in the house?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Who are you friends with?
Most of the girls, I'm still cool with the girls. Princess, Chloe, Alex, my girls, I'm still tight with most of my girls.
Okay.
I think so. I think I did pretty well in the show. I didn't really have enemies per se. Yeah, maybe had some disagreements with a couple of people here and there.
We see that.
But I think I was pretty fair. So yeah, I'm still cool with some people. If I see other people, we still, chat and everything. I don't really have much
you're just cool. All right, so I don't know if you're very active on social media lately, but we've been seeing a lot of migration gone wrong story, especially from people, from girls. I don't want to see people because I don't want to take what's happening with the girls now. We're seeing a lot of stories around unsafe migration. We're seeing a lot with girls going over there for prostitution and all that. And that has made me really, really sad and concerned for the Nigerian girl child, because it's always one story or the other every single day. And I know that most times that is being represented in that axis of the country more profoundly. What do you think, really, aside from what the government is doing, aside from what you're doing with your office, what do you think that individually and in our homes we can really do, people from Edo State and everyone in Nigeria really can do to reduce the ratio to what to which that's happening?
People might not like it, but we need to, as Nigerians, focus on being content. Almost every problem we have is because we're not content. We want more. And of course everybody wants more, but we want more to a detriment. We're ready to commit crimes, to do things that are illegal and immoral because we want more. Migration is in the word immigration. We have immigration services. If you want to travel to another country, you're supposed to apply for a visa.
It costs money. I know that.
These things cost money, but people are now migrating and dying.
Yeah, true.
Right? Money is what we have to do. That's the world we live in. You have to make money, right? You just have to. So because people feel like, this whole Jackpot syndrome, I have to get out of Nigeria. Nigeria sucks. This, that. People are going to places and they're slaved.
I think the worst thing really when it comes to that migration is really the trafficking of girls. Girl trafficking
is the most. The most of it is girl trafficking. In Edo State, what we realized is that for years they called us the hub of sex trafficking in Nigeria. That almost everyone that is trafficked must pass Edo State in one way or another. Luckily, we've done some research and we realized that people, the way people used to think that all the girls were from Edo State. No, they're not. Most of the girls are not culturally from Edo State. No, they're from other states, but Edo State is where they start their walk because of the narrative that we are the place. But a lot of the girls, especially even in Edo State right now, if you go to where some of the sex workers stand on the street, most of the girls are not even from Edo State.
Right.
So we've already been able to identify that. So that's the first step. Now, of course, we're trying to now curb these issues where people really are in a rush to leave Nigeria. And I just try and tell people that there's no work, there's no valuable or legitimate work for someone who escapes. It's not possible. It is not possible. So
you can't escape and get like a very good job there?
No, it's highly unlikely. No. If you do not go through the route of applying for a visa, that country knows you're there, it's going to be very difficult for you to get good work.
Right.
It's not impossible, but at least in the beginning, it's going to be tough.
Right.
People in those countries are looking for work. Why they not come and give you because you came from one boat? It's not, it's not realistic. So these are the issues. People need to be realistic. If you hear someone telling you that, there's work in Burkina Faso, there's work in Mali, there's not work there. How can there be work there? There's no work in the giant of Africa.
Nigeria.
It's
Why do you think they'll get?
Come on now.
They are going to drag you.
Do you get listen? They should drag me. What's my business? I've been there now. So luckily, Traore is trying to make his country a little bit better and all these things. But let's be serious. If there's no work in Nigeria, there's very unlikely there's going to be work for you in some other country where that you have to escape, that you didn't apply for a visa. Do you get what I'm saying? They don't know that you're there. Come on, that work can't be legit. Let's just be realistic with what we're doing. So I think as Nigerians, we need to all put our hands together and try to make our own country work, so we're not so in a rush to go and work in someone else's country.
Right.
These are the problems.
Okay.
Trafficking is such a despicable act. We have people that are trafficking girls, like proper girls, 10, 11, 12.
True. I saw a story last week that
in those states, the migration agency had to go to the north and rescue some of our girls. They were 12.
12 years old.
12 years old. What do you want to do with them? What do you want to do with these kind of... What are we doing? What are we up to? So we've lost it. We've lost the way. Please, I know Nigeria can be difficult, but wherever you're going to, it's going to have issues as well, especially if you are going illegally. If you're applying for a visa, better for you. The country knows you're there. You have opportunities to properly apply for jobs. But if you know you're going under the table, it's going to be very, very hard.
Yeah. So we're wrapping this up. I know that this is really cool to talk to. It's really beautiful. But I'll try to get this really short. So before we started this conversation, you talked about women getting into politics, and so one key thing you said is women have an edge, and women should try to build an edge. What edge were you talking about?
The edge is, everything
because really, sorry, I really just want to know so that I get ahead of whatever I get
absolutely.
into. Yeah, and so when I'm talking about an edge, I'm talking about legit edge. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Every skill that they say is against us is what can work for you.
Ooh,
Yes, for example, women should be the ones in the kitchen or be the ones cleaning. Even in politics, you need the organizers. You need the people who convene, bring people together. Every political campaign, they need the person who is sharing the water or calling the people who are fixing this and fixing that. Those are things that we do naturally. So just do it in the political realm.
You're right.
In the job force, they always used to say that, women are only good as secretaries and marketers. Politics is nothing more than writing, media, pushing out people's campaigns. That's the work.
So there's always space for you.
There's always space for you. The things that you are already doing are needed in the political realm, right?
Okay.
So you just have to realize that you too, it might suck or whatever, but you too have to do the grunt work. You're not just going to jump from, I'm in my house and I want to go become a senator. It doesn't work like that, because there's men men have been hustling, joining campaigns, doing all these things for years. You too have to enter that same space, but do it in your own category. Bring your group of friends and do it together. Right. Everything about politics is community. This person brings their group,
and you bring your person.
You too bring your persons, and you guys just go along with it. Right. So I don't see any reason. Women have allowed that narrative that women don't belong here to keep them from being there, but women must be. This is the only way for women must be there. We see senators, we see reps members, we see women in politics, meaning there's a space. We just have to create more space.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you've held fame. Now you're holding power, right? What do you think is the most important decision that you have made by yourself that brings you to these two spaces and allows you to dominate both spaces?
I would say just the risk that I took by leaving America to come to Nigeria.
But who leaves America to come to Nigeria?
A crazy person. Obviously, a very crazy person does that. And everything I do with my level of craze. Yeah,
It's very important. Is that a factor? Is that a little bit of craziness in there?
You must. You think Dangote does... he was wherever he was, and then he said he wants to start doing cement, start doing salt. It's madness now. Why would you be making cement? What the heck is cement, right? You have to just be crazy and just decide, I'm going to do something and try my luck. Whether I fail or not, I want to try. Right. So I think you have to have that little... Something has to be twitching somewhere.
Yeah. Your brain doesn't have to be completely correct.
Something has to be twitching somewhere. Yeah, so I think just every risk that I took was always a big risk. I've always done a lot of big risks. Like I'm now... from leaving America to coming to Nigeria, from leaving the corporate world to going to, Big Brother, from leaving putting entertainment aside a little bit to entering politics. Everything is big moves. Yes. So I'm not afraid of making big moves.
Right. All right. So we have just 2 more questions and then we can leave here. So I don't get too comfortable. All right. So my second to last question is for girls watching this right now who are thinking, can I get into politics? Or Anto is just really talking because she had an edge coming from America and she had it comfortable, right? What's that one thing you say to that girl who's watching and is feeling like, I'm not like Anto, I just cannot walk like her, I can't make crazy move like her? Yeah.
I think every single Nigerian can make a crazy move. I don't think anything is stopping anyone. When I first came to Nigeria, before I came to Nigeria, people told me that, being American, having an accent would be your plus. Nigeria was very hard for me when I first came. I did not have Yankee privilege. Nobody sent my papa. No, I think it's only now that I'm an event host and I'm speaking English. Like now that I'm using my voice for my money, it's a little bit better. But before, when I was first finding my way, no one cared where I was coming from. So I think the person that's even homegrown in Nigeria, that already has friends in the community, has it much easier than me. I don't have anybody. I didn't go to school here. All of my school, I did not do it here. Right. Even NYSC, and a few friends I made in NYSC, and everyone went there, their separate ways. I think people who are homegrown have it so much easier. You have people to rely on, to call on, people to reminisce with, people who have experienced things with you. So you even have an edge beyond me. My only edge was that, she was on TV, but it's not like I won. I wasn't even the most popular person during my season. There were people who were known far, better than me. So I think everyone has an edge. You have to find your edge and use it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, last question. And I hope this is the last, because I've said last like 1 million times. If your life was a book now, as the SSA to the governor on creative economy and tourism, I would like to ask you this. If your life was a book, what would the last 2 lines be? Your life so far, everything.
Wow.
What would the last 2 lines be?
Last 2 lines. Thank God we made it.
Ooh, okay. All right. That's such a fulfilling, because getting to this point, I said, I made it.
Oh boy, it hasn't been easy. It's still not easy, but I made it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. All right. It's been, okay, let me ask you first. How's this conversation been?
It's been good. It's good. Nice questions.
Oh,
well done.
Thank you. You know, when I sent you that message on Instagram, I was thinking, Anto is really posh and I'm put together. I'm prim and proper, so I had to. And then I was putting questions together, and then I thought, you know what? This question should just get aside. Let me really just talk to this person. And it's been really, really cool talking to you.
Great. Thanks for having me.
It's been really cool talking to you. And I know that my audience are going to have such a great time, listening to this conversation and all. And yes, you have been really so inspiring. I'll close the show with this. You've been really, really incredibly inspiring. Not just because of what you're doing, in your office, but really the progression of your journey, and how you've been able to craft your own journey, your own path, and excelling in it. Because when we see people come out from the Big Brother house, we can really just predict what's going to be with them. We can really just predict how that goes. Not that it's bad, but we've seen you, because moving from that part and crafting another thing is more than just talent, it's courage. And we've seen you do that. Thank you so much. Having you on my show is such a blessing. And to everyone watching, just know that, just like she has said, your dreams matters. It might take a long time, but when it happens, it's going to feel like it was never a long time. Until next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.